So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the South West Herts Local History Channel. My name's Chris Ogle, and with me today, as ever, David Sawyer. Come and say hello, David.
Hi, Chris. How are you doing? Hello, everybody. It's good to be back here again, twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we've OD'd on it this time, haven't we? We were only here less than a week ago, so it seems like a deja vu already.
There you go.
So, what have we got today, David? Tell us.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about Watford Market. It's one of the big points in the town that's been talked about quite a bit recently, and it's been there for a long time. And changed positions on about 1, 2, 3, 4 occasions, to my knowledge.
So what's the? I mean, Watford's a market charter town, which basically means that part of its constitution is that it will have a market.
That's right. That's where the charter comes in. That granted normally by royal charter. The only other thing I know something about those is in. I don't know if you know Pinner, but Pinner has Pinner Fair once a year by royal charter, and they have to close the town up to have the fair. So Watford Market has a charter, or Watford has a charter to have a market, and have a market we will, in various shapes and sizes. In fact, we have, of course, in the town centre, Watford Market Street. It's strange enough, the market wasn't in.
Oh, it's never been in Market Street?
Not to my knowledge. It's always been in the High Street, right at the corner of Market Street and the High Street, right by what was the Compasses pub and is now Moss Bros.
Interesting, and someone posted up the other day a 15th century window which still exists there, doesn't it?
It does. In what was the Compasses, so it is right there on that corner of Market Street and the High Street. And well, Watford's an old town. We know we've talked to it in previous programmes, but it's bits and pieces coming up. I'm wondering, you know, they're redoing or adding to the Into Centre after demolishing lots of places, and I'm just wondering if there was any history beneath that they've uncovered and kept it quiet.
Well, I don't know. I've no idea.
In my old age, I get very cynical about these things. It's easier just not talk about them than have architects go in there and start grubbing around and finding things.
Yeah.
But that's the way of the world, I'm afraid.
All right. So we've got a little bit of history here. I, as always, David, have managed to dig up a few more recent market pictures from my own portfolio, which I thought we would add into the end to bring people up.
I'm very glad you have this time, because although I've gone through the book, a lot of the stuff is just notations in there rather than photographs. And I've used 2 books this time. The normal one you gave me, and Watford in pictures, basically. So that's where we start.
Well, I've got a few of the more up to date market, and a couple there from as it was before it. Well, I think 1 or 2 actually as it was back in 2014. So
I know you're very up on the market as it is now. You do a lot more talking to the stallholders and things like that. So I can leave that part safely to you.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So here we go. Then we'll get the old screen share going, and we'll get some pictures on for our viewers. Here we go. Right. So here's the first picture. I don't know if you can see that already, but
and as you can see, it's a market day in the town, and very different to the market we have now. There's a livestock, cattle market, sheep, pigs, goats.
Where on earth is that then?
That's actually in the High Street.
Really?
Outside, I think it is on the right, is number 66, which at the time was a solicitor, Cedric Turner and Walker. And the Compasses is just a bit further down the street. So that gives you an idea of whereabouts we are. So it's between Market Street and Clarendon Road.
Right, okay, where it's quite wide actually, and
it is indeed. Yeah, it just sort of pinches again at the point where you've now got that Five Guys restaurant, which
which used to be a bank, didn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
But again, it was wider on the other side as well. The pavement were quite narrow in those days. And
That's not pavement down there or tarmac, is it? It's mud, isn't it?
it's gravel, basically, yeah. But
Yeah.
again, when you think of the consequences of having a livestock market in the town centre, that the debris is going to be more than just paper and bits and pieces like that. It's going to be a lot of excrement there.
Yeah, I suspect cleaning up after the market was a different kind of proposition in those days.
Yeah. And I should imagine it's not. It would be quite malodorous, really. And
yeah, methane on the table there.
Was it the start of ruining the ozone layer? I think.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that one. What have we got next? Here we go.
This is cattle trading in the market. So where are we gone from here? Yeah. So it's just basically, as you can see, the cattle were just lined up there, and people came along, made a bid for them, and took them away with them. The road looks a bit better in this one than it was in the last one. So I think this is slightly more modern. I think in the distance you can see where the flyover will probably be now.
So would that have been Clements on the right-hand side there then?
I would have thought so, yeah.
So Jackson should be around there somewhere.
Jackson should be around that sort of area. But again, the one thing you notice more than anything else, there are a lot more shop awnings there than we have today.
Yeah.
Because a lot of goods were displayed outside. And again, when you've got sheep, cattle and pigs in the marketplace, on a rainy day, you really want some protection because the rest of it's all out in the open.
Yeah.
And again, most of the men wearing caps, flat caps. Almost would make it more of a northern scene, I would have thought, but no, it's actually Watford High Street.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Right, so we move on.
Just a bit of note about the market. I mean, you've got the sheep there again, but the market came into the hands in 1890 to one Mr. W. Hurst Flint. And he then passed it on to a Mr. C.H. Halsey. Now, Halsey is a name that we know in Watford because we've got Halsey Hall, haven't we?
We have got Halsey Hall.
So, again, this man took over the market.
Isn't that the
Masonic? Yeah, Masonic thing, actually, opposite the town hall. Then Mr. Hodgson took over in 1936 before Watford Corporation took over the charter rights.
Is that the Horns? What pub is that?
They're called Dyers.
And what's that with the trees in the background? They look strangely familiar.
That tree in the background is the corner of Upton Road. So that's where, of course, the flyover is now, but Upton Road would have come straight down to the high street.
So where would that...
They're coming from the town hall down towards the Into Centre. You know, that thing. And on the right,
so past the town and country.
No, this is in the high street.
This is in the high street, is it?
This is in the high street, yeah, because you see on the right-hand side, you've got a delivery trike, yeah?
Yeah.
That was a Sainsbury's delivery trike, and they're actually outside Sainsbury's in the high street.
So, right, so run me past this again. Whereabouts?
Clements.
By Clements?
That area, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and so that tree on sort of left of centre is the corner of Upton Road, where it met the high street before the flyover came in.
Oh, okay.
Cut that short on the ring road.
So those trees there and that building in the distance there, that's now cooperative house, as it were.
Yeah, it's going that way. We're looking towards the town hall roundabout.
Yeah. So that would be where the cooperative used to be now, and the flyover.
Clements and Sainsbury's on your right-hand side.
Yeah.
But again, just driving the sheep to market, no big trucks taking them there because they were all local traders, basically, all local farmers.
Amazing. Right.
It's changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, that looks like a shop in Albert's Langley, that does.
It does a bit. Just got to notice here, November 1932. when they were talking about covering the market. So this must be, well, this will be when the market has moved from the high street, because you wouldn't be covering it in the high street because it just wouldn't be feasible. But,
so where would it move to? Had it moved sort of down behind?
well, originally it moved from the high street, and it then ended up at the back of King Street, which is, you know, where you walk through the centre of the Into Centre at the moment from McDonald's going through to Queen's Road.
Yeah.
Because that was King Street as well, or King's Road. And at the back of there was a big open market area again. So it's moved from the high street to there.
You mean actually in the Into building?
Well, what the Into is now, yes.
Right. Okay.
I can remember, because there used to be, again, what we talked of, a nightclub down there called the New Penny.
Yeah.
And we used to park when we came to the New Penny in at the back of that, which was where the market was held after it came out the high street.
Right.
So that's in the past 40 odd years. But the last street market was in September 1928. So it's moved to this point in 1932, where they're talking about covering it. We have a picture actually of the last street market a little later on.
So what does that stand for? WHP?
West Herts paper or something like that.
Right.
Again, it's,
basically they've been on it now for a little bit, and it's November, and they've got until the end of Jan. They started all this work on September the 19th.
Yeah.
A lot of hands-on.
They got the whole of the works up. I should imagine this, to me, would suggest it was probably going to Charter Place. But Charter Place one was a fairly new one when Charter Place was actually built, wasn't it?
Charter Place was open when I suspect it's now about 40 years, because it was while I was at Watford Grammar School it opened, and that was 74 to 81.
So this is talking about covering the open market that was at the back of King Street, where the Into Centre stands now. So they were talking about putting that under cover then, because I think at that time it was still a cattle and sheep market, because they needed the big space, and it's taken it out of the high street and concentrated in one place, which is much more accessible for everybody there, and making the shops, the traders, a lot happier during taking the market out the high street.
Yeah, you didn't have all this crap in the road, did you?
I mean, although markets will bring in footfall, it's also, as I say, in the first instance, with a cattle market there, it is going to leave a lot of debris around every time.
Right, here we go then. So,
right, again, this is you see the right on the corner. There's the chef corner, but there used to be a lot of entertainment in the markets as well. And here we have a little sort of jazz type band looking at it, and the fact that the chap wearing a boater there and the banjo and what have you. Almost looks like the chap playing the trumpet is wearing a smock.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if there's around that time, and I'm sure there was, because we still get them today, was some other dancers, Morris dancers.
Yeah. Got some writing on it as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah. But again, I've got a few pictures of the entertainment. There was dancing and singing and playing music there, which I suppose that's the beginning of what we have now as Muzak.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's something just to see. I mean, this is an open plan of an aerial plan of the market, and as it was, and you see Cordell's there and the bank. I'm not sure which bank that was. Probably, but, again, at the back of it, you've got fish market and various other bits and pieces to show the layout, which is very similar to the way it was in Charter Place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit different to that. The fish and the meat were in a similar type of place, but perhaps run the other way. But yeah, it was, and of course the market was, I mean, those wouldn't have been, well, they might have been single stalls, but there were a lot more stalls in the market as it was, the old market. And that are shown there. But yeah, what was Cordell's?
The department store, as far as
Was
I
it?
remember.
Don't
And that,
remember. Store.
yeah, because that's got to be somewhere down. Where are we thinking of? Something like where the HSBC bank is. In fact, that could be the bank there. So Cordell's could be, I mean, it could either be the HSBC bank as is today, or even Lloyd's Bank with the frontage that we've got.
That's where the entrance to Charter Place was.
Yeah, but I can't make out the road at the back of that.
Right, so it was basically between Queen's Road,
yeah,
and sort of HSBC, that kind of area around the back there, between there and where Beach and Grove is.
Yeah. And so, because obviously the road layouts have changed, as we know, with the advent of the ring road, Beach and Grove and what have you, and it changed a lot of it.
I like the the drawing. It's like someone decided in a pub on a fag packet.
It does, doesn't it? It is. I hope they didn't use that to build it.
Interesting.
But again, it's very similar to the layout as well. So again, this looks like a carpet stall actually in the marketplace, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So again, we had very mixed trading in there. When it changed from being like the sort of a farmer's market, the cattle market and what have you, then they needed other people to go in there to do various different trades. And so that one to me looks like a carpet textiles sort of shop, really, or stall, I should say, rather than shop.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And then the chef corner again.
Chef corner again, people dancing with the band. So that decries my thought about Morris dancers at that particular time. But no, there's this has got to be. Looking at the way she's dressed, I've got a feeling it's got to be around the 60s sort of time, really, isn't it? 50s, 60s.
Yeah, interesting. Where was Chef Corner?
Something that we need to look up. One of our viewers enlighten us on this. Kevin France, where are you? We need you.
Maybe a post into the Watford history or something there to find out where Chef Corner actually was. But it looks like there's always been sort of market places to buy food and drink and stuff. Right, here we go.
Again, more of the street market type. Again, you see the
This must be the covered market.
Sorry?
This must be the covered market.
Yeah, these next two shots are inside the market. So it is covered at this stage. And again,
it's an outdoor market, but this is probably the market that took us up to 1970s, the 1973-4 type era.
Part of that is covered, as you can see. I think you see the girders. This particular shop looks almost outside. I mean, you've got the cart on the left, basically a hand cart with all the boxes that the fruit and veg used to come in.
Yeah.
Stacked up there for clearing away. I'm looking at the gent and the lady in the sort of pale colours. Again, it looks 60s sort of era, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you look at the lady on the left at the back there, that sort of dress is very 60s-y type stuff. Yeah.
You and me, Chris, talking about fashion. That's a novel thing.
Well, I'm not sure I would have been that up on it that era. But,
no, we wouldn't have been thinking about it then. I mean, it's just looking back and thinking, well, that looks about the sort of thing that was going on sort of during my teenage years.
Yeah. And
again, a fruit and veg store. Now that looks very much like, I mean, that said Southwood, LS Southwood store.
Now that looks to me like the new market. The old new market.
Charter Place market, doesn't it? Right by the lifts.
Yeah.
It looks very much like that.
That looks like the front end of the market by the entrance to the market.
That's right. Yeah, just as you come in next door to Argos.
Yeah.
And that store it looks exactly the same as I remember that there. And in actual fact, just off to the right, there was another one, wasn't there? Going up, right up to the door.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, it looks very much more modern than some of the other ones we've seen. So it's no longer a cattle market at all. That disappeared probably back in the 1930s when the corporation took over.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think the last one we have, that I should say,
Yeah.
this was the last street market, and this was the 22nd of September 1928. The last time they actually had the market in the street. But again, you notice that the lack of animals again.
Yeah.
Comparison to what it started out as in the 18. Well, I have it down
So
here.
presumably by this time in 1928, the cattle stuff had been shipped off somewhere else.
Well, perhaps that's when they moved that to the back of King Street, the cattle market, and they had the street market as well. Going.
Yeah, possibly.
So again, it opened the road. The road again is much better paved. I know the chap cycling away and another woman pushing a bike. And is that a car just behind this woman pushing a bike? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's a horse and cart. Looking at it.
Horse and cart, yeah.
But again, that's looking up towards the town hall direction. And again, I think the building just to the right of centre with the white frame on it looks like, again, around about where Five Boys is. So again, from Market Street going back up towards the top of the town.
Is that Muskies or whatever, or Muskies? Isn't that perhaps where, what was that? Beginning with the whiteys or white. They used to do like crockery and all that kind of stuff. Isn't that where the bookshop was, and where just before the Midland Bank?
Because we used to have things like Timothy White's there.
Yeah, Timothy White's. I think that was a Timothy White building.
Yeah, because again, that was sort of chemist and general home store type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So before that, if you turn left, right, just before that building, that's the entrance to Charter Place, I think.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, so because you're virtually at the junction of Market Street there and the High Street again.
Yeah.
And that sort of white building you can see on the left is probably where Barclays is now.
Which one?
But the white building on the sort of middle centre left, the white frontage.
No. I would have thought Barclays would have been further up than that.
Well, I mean, where Barclays is today, because you're just near the corner of Market Street and the High Street, looking up towards the town hall.
Street be up near where the other white square building is.
No, I don't think it's a bit deceptive in the foreshortening of it, because it looks like just past this first white building there is another building sticking out a little bit, the one with sort of a turret or chimney right on the corner of it. So whether that's where the Five Guys is now, or I'm not sure. But it's in that general area. In actual fact, I don't think it can be, because don't forget the compasses had that sort of Tudor look to it, didn't it?
I think the compasses would be off screen towards the top right. I think you'd have to go. I think this is like in front of where BHS used to be. I think that would be on the right side here. BHS and all that lot would be down there. And I think those buildings on the left were kind of all the stuff that was came after the One Bell and was going up towards.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, going up towards the NatWest Bank.
Yeah.
Right opposite the Charter Place entrance there.
They demolished a load of that stuff to build that ridiculously. Well, they've demolished that as well now. So
I know. I actually heard today, whether it's true or not, that Barclays Bank are actually going to go into the new Intu Centre.
Right.
Barclays Bank site is going to be used for another 48 flats.
No way. How are we going to get 48 flats on there? Bloody hell.
Well, just build them up.
Unbelievable. Okay, so bring us right up to date.
The right up-to-date market, yes. And
I've got some other older pictures to come back through, but
that wasn't on a Monday, was it?
this was this was open day. Although you could be forgiven for thinking that.
It's so busy in there, in all those stalls.
I think this was the day the market opened. You can tell by the click. So this is looking up the market from the
high street going up towards Beach and Grove.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, looking at the gallery around the top, it will be in that general direction.
And that's the same thing again, you know.
That's at the bottom right-hand corner is where the fish shop is now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
again, it didn't seem to attract. If that was the opening day, it didn't seem to attract many people. This looks like the old market.
well, this is the old market. So
Yeah.
this is up on the stairs, looking down at the.
You had a tea room up there or something, didn't you?
Well, I wasn't in the tea room. It was the market had been vacated at this point, and I was just looking down at
the death of the market.
Yeah, looking down at the market, and everyone had gone at this point. So I got a few more pictures of the market. This was opening day of the market as well, and.
Well, we have the mayor there on the right.
No, it can't be the mayor. Yeah, you've got Paul Roberts. Can you see Paul Roberts? He's the one in the blur in the front with all the camera bags.
All right, yeah.
Paul's quite an aficionado about Watford history. So there were quite a few people there on open day. I'm just going to quickly go back to the start because there's a few pictures right at the start that I wanted to show you as well. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So this is a picture in the old market as well when it was still going. We were at LJ's Cafe there on a Saturday morning.
All right.
We just had the photograph competition, and Linda Bullock, that is, in the front, who you recognise from that.
No, I recognise Linda there. Yeah.
Yeah, she won the prize for having the best picture, actually.
Right.
And she came along on a Saturday morning to pick up her prize. Both of those stalls now behind Nuts About Spice and the Bag Company, both of those moved to the new market, and both are no longer there.
No, there's a lot of people in the old market that were told that there wasn't room for them in the new market, which seems to be.
Yeah, well, they did actually make the move, but they didn't.
Yeah, but
so this is upstairs, looking out towards the high street now.
Yeah.
And LJ's Cafe was on the left hand side, and Sushi No Mai is on the right hand side. And that gentleman there was Ray Marks on the left hand side. He's unfortunately passed away since.
Oh dear.
His funeral was back in the back end of last year, which is a real shame. And this was actually in the market. I don't know quite what they were doing here, but there was some kind of celebration going on because they've got balloons and bunting and all sorts of stuff going on. So I'm not quite sure what the day was, but that's Sweetie Sue there in the foreground, and she's no longer on the market either.
Again, she wasn't offered a place in the new market.
No, she was.
She said she wasn't last time I spoke to her, but notwithstanding that, she's not there.
She was in the new market. In fact, that you can see behind her, Sweetie Sue's.
Yeah.
That was her stall.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I used to buy diabetic sweets from her, sugar-free sweets.
Yeah, yeah. So she definitely was there. She was there for, I think she left September last year.
Because I mean, this new market with these containers for units don't really give the stall holders much hope for what they can display their stuff in. It's very limited in that respect when you consider the frontage they used to have in the old market.
Well, it's a whole different ball game. That's the problem. It's it's just not the same proposition. So when people have built their business over 30 years in the old market, of course, you know, the consideration of it now in the new market is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And of course, people have to realise that, you know, what worked in the old market isn't necessarily going to work in the new market. And the sad thing is that most of them were unable to adapt really, because their business model was based on operating the stall as their business. Whereas now, with the footfall being so poor in the new market, you've got to kind of have another string to your bow. If you don't have an online presence, or you're not doing your marketing in some other way, you are going to struggle.
It's like the stall in the market with football memorabilia, which has now also got a stall, actually freestanding stall in the high street itself.
Yeah,
so there's more footfall in the high street than there is in the market.
Yeah, but I mean, I can tell you that the story behind that is that, you know, he hardly takes enough money in the market, in this actual market, to cover just the cost. I'm not talking about profit here, just to cover the cost of the person that's
The break even.
But if he doesn't have the stall there, the presence in the high street would be 3 or 4 times the amount of money. So it's almost swings and roundabouts, really, the way it's been constructed, the proposition to have a unit inside, but essentially operate outside.
I mean, again, one of your favourites, the fruit and veg stall, which is just outside the market. We had a lot more choice in the old market. I mean, you had two stalls at least in the market, and you had the other one right at the entrance to Charter Place in the high street. And now we've got just the one. And this is pushing more and more people into the supermarkets to buy their stuff, because we haven't got the people selling it. And I can understand part of the supermarket ideas, because you go in there and you'll find one banana wrapped up in a tray with cling film on it, and it's not even ripe. And you've got to go and buy it and hope in a couple of days it's going to be ripe, and as opposed to buy it off a store when you can eat it straight away. And things have changed, I know that, and not necessarily for the better, I don't think, in some instances. It's just like the way they're redoing or adding on to Into Centre, taking away all the individual shops and putting in corporate shops more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a re-education job, unless people start to realise that if you don't use it, you lose it, and actually people need to fall back in love again with fruit and veg and food and that, and they're not. Young people, it's all about convenience and everything else, and I agree, got 2 kids, 3 kids, you know, but the fruit that you buy in the supermarket, it's almost like not, you know, probably just not really worth eating very much. By the time you get around to eating it, because it's ripe, it's could have probably gone off. You know, whereas I know that if I go to the market and I buy some fruit and veg, it's probably going to be at best for 2 days, and then you know, it's got to be in the fridge.
But you buy what you need for when you need it. You know?
Yeah. It's open on a Tuesday, it's open on a Saturday, so you don't have to buy everything. It's open on a Thursday or a Friday. So, you know, there are 2 or 3 bites of the cherry. You don't have to buy.
Well, you can get the supermarkets will do these bog off, which end up the one that you get for free, or whichever one it is. 9 times out of 10 is wasted. You don't get around to eating it. You don't buy the same. Yeah, I want some now, but I might want some next week, but this won't last me till next week.
Yeah, you know, you're going to get back to some of the hard times where food was scarce, and people needed to, you know, like I remember Mum and Anne's, you know, we used to have a big plate of Yorkshire pudding gravy before we actually started getting out to eat dinner. And the reason was gravy was cheap.
Oh, God, you're taking me back now to the place when, if you actually manage to have a roast beef joint, you know for sure the next week you're going to have some bread and dripping.
Well, yeah, but Yorkshire pudding was like water, milk, an egg, and a bit of salt.
bit flour.
And it filled you up. And then you didn't need so much meat, you didn't need so much veg, you didn't need so much potato because you're already quite full at the start. So it was like finding ways to use food creatively so that, and it was tasty because the gravy was lovely. You know, like what I'm saying is that now, you know, like we wouldn't bother. Yeah, we've got out. We don't know how to do that.
No, I mean, I can remember both my mother and my Jane's mother. We had a constant soup pot on the go, and what happened was any leftover vegetables or bits of meat were put in there, and that was sort of topped up all the time. So none of it went to waste. None of it was actually thrown away. It just went into the soup pot and had various different names. I think down at Jane's house, it used to be called pond water because it didn't look overly appetizing, but it was. It had all the stuff in it you've been eating before.
Yeah,
but it wasn't thrown away, not wasted. There we go.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was an interesting look at the old Watford Market. I say I got quite a few pictures of Watford Market and stuff. I put this this particular one up on the Google Watford site as well, on Google, on the community, and it's also in the Facebook, South West Herts Facebook page. So I hope people find it interesting, and we can share it across into the Watford history and stuff if people are interested to watch it there as well.
Well, talking about Watford history, I had a pleasant evening last week at the West Watford Local History Society, talking about the effects of World War I on the local parish. Linda Bullock, very, very accommodating there, allowed me to come in and listen to a very, very good lecture, lots of very good postings and very enjoyable. And I hope we can persuade her to come along and talk a bit more about the West Watford history.
Yeah, because we've got scambles down there and all sorts of things, which
I was listening with interest that during World War I, a lot of soldiers were actually billeted in Watford, and you asked a householder had no choice. The billeting officer would come around and say, right, you're putting this person up, and all that they were after was a bed. You didn't have to feed these soldiers,
right?
Which is a bit churlish, but then again, we're talking about 1914, 1918. Food would be a bit scarce as well then. Wouldn't be as much as we had now, but over 1,000 billeted in Watford alone. So again, something that would bear talking about, and there's someone who can do it.
Brilliant.
Linda, the call is out to you.
All right, good stuff. All right, well, we'll call that a wrap. Thank you, David, for doing the research there, and been another interesting trip down Watford's memory lane there.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoy the programme.
All right, take care now, and see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, cheers, Chris. Bye-bye.